Okay, does anybody need more time? Anybody have a way to use these? All right, so let me show you what we have here. So the first thing that I want to show you are these quotes that you need to keep track of. Okay, this document is worth 30 points. You are not going to turn this in until the end of this book. So, you know, it's something ongoing. You should have quotes from pretty much every chapter. There's no magic number, but you can see I've given you like 2 pages for each topic, for each theme. I do not necessarily need you to fill up an entire 2 pages of quotes. You might have a ton more for illegal immigration than you have for expectations of Hispanic women. But what I would say is you need to at least have filled up one side of each one. Okay, I think for most of these, you will have more than that. There are tons of quotes that relate to these topics, and you will need them when it comes time to writing your midterm at the end. Okay, so if you can start keeping track of them today, which we'll do together, then that will be super beneficial to you. Okay, so that's the one thing. Then the other thing is, of course, your questions. So let me show you how those are set up, and we'll start on them today. You will notice they go in order. You will notice they go by chapter. So I'm assigning 1, 2, and 3 together. I would say we will definitely get through the first question today. We'll do that together, and then 2 and 3 we'll see. Okay, but as you're working through, make sure that you are going in order. Now, I'll tell you, the way I've divided this up is a little bit different this year. So like we are doing 1, 2, and 3 together, but then I'm also doing 4, 5, and 6 together. So the way they're divided up doesn't exactly pair up like on a daily basis as how they're divided up here. So just pay attention to the chapter and make sure you're completing them as you go. Even though I've read this book multiple times, it would be hard for me to answer all those questions if I didn't do them as I go. Okay. So don't try and like go to the end and then go back. It'll be a nightmare trying to find all the answers to those. So do them as you go and it'll be much easier. I think Avery's chicken is super excited to read this book. All right. Are we ready? Does everyone have their things ready to go? Okay. So obviously the way we are going to do this is if you look here, here are your chapters. They're PDFs that I'm going to give you every day or two. And you're just going to have to click on it and open it. And we are going to start reading together today, chapter 1. So I'm going to stop sharing. And you should have clicked on chapter 1 so that you can look at this with us. You've read the question for chapter 1. Why did Sonia's father immigrate to the United States illegally and how did he do it? So you're keeping that in mind for when we start reading. And just thinking about any quotes, anything that seems to stand out that's important about illegal immigration or Hispanic families or women or stereotypes or discrimination. All right, I'm going to start out reading to you. If somebody else would like to read, you're welcome to. You can volunteer here in a minute. I will not force you to read. But if you want to get a participation point in a minute, feel free to do so. All right, can you just give me a thumbs up? Everybody's looking at chapter 1. You're ready for me to start reading? Yes? Okay, here we go. Chapter 1. You'll notice it's a lot of back and forth between Spanish and English. I was born in the United States of America. That makes me legal. Pero mis padres jumped the border to get here. That makes them illegal. I have documents. They don't. I speak English. They don't. I have a social security number, a passport, and a license to drive. They don't, they don't, they don't. Actually, me papi does have a social security number. 3 of them. You can buy them for $15 a piece down at the taqueria. I know it's wrong, but it's not like he's doing anything different from anyone else. One vato down the block has 14 different sets of official state identification cards. Like he's the Mexican James Bond or something. That would be funny. James Gonzalez, Agent 007. Maybe I shouldn't write about that. After all, I don't want to get me papi in trouble. He only came here for opportunity. Anybody want to take it from there? Anybody like reading? Reading out loud? Quick point? Kylan's going to do it. All right, start, Kylan, with in Mexico, and just read a paragraph or two, and then we'll pass it again.
In Mexico, opportunity doesn't exist. There's too much poverty. If a person isn't born rich, it's almost impossible for them to make a living and support their family. So mi papi jumped the border. He hired coyotes, fought off bandidos, bribed policias,
Uh-huh.
and nearly lost his right hand from poison when he was bit by a yellow scorpion in the middle of the desert. All that to provide a better life for his children. All that for me. Now I know I don't write so good, but I'm a Latino, a first generation Latino or Hispanic American or Chicano immigrant or wetback puta, whatever you want to call me. And people should hear the truth, the real truth. You want me to keep reading?
I don't know. Does anybody else want to take over? Anyone? Anyone? Look at my other screen. Anyone? Sure, Kylan, keep going.
Okay. About my secrets, secrets that no one has ever heard before. I apologize in advance if my book stinks. Like I said, I know I don't write so good. Yet still, I think my story is important. In some parts are juicy. There is sex and violence and drugs. I know people who read books like that kind of stuff, but there is love too. In my opinion, love stories are best of all. But most important, there is truth. And sometimes, la verdad, the truth can save your life.
Okay, thanks, Kylan. So that's kind of what the chapters are like. Mostly they're short and pretty easy to read. Some are a little longer, some are a little shorter, but nothing's crazy long. You'll notice she goes back and forth a little bit between Spanish and English, but I think she makes it pretty clear, like what she's saying. Like if you look at the last line, and sometimes la verdad, the truth, can save your life, right? So la verdad means truth. So usually she kind of clarifies, pretty much you can tell, I think, what most of the Spanish is saying, but that's something you need to pay attention to. Okay, so that's chapter 1. So I want you to look at that question. Why did Sonia's father immigrate to the United States illegally? Let's answer that right now. So you're either going to write it down or you're going to type it in so you have it. Go back and look. Why did he come here illegally? Raise your hand when you're ready to share. Give you a point. Why did he come here illegally? Anna.
He came to the United States for opportunity and a better life for his kids.
Perfect. So write something along those lines for number 1. I put better life / opportunity / make a living / support family. So you can write one or all of those things. And that's all coming from page 2. All right, then the follow-up question says, how did he do it? So raise your hand when you want to try and answer that. How did he do it?
Wait, like how he do what?
How did he immigrate to the United States? Okay, as soon as you think you found it, raise your hand. Waiting for a volunteer. Lauren.
He jumped the border and he like survived against like they said as snakes and like banditos and everything like that. So he survived getting past the border.
Yeah. So yeah, he jumped the border, however you want to say that, right? He crossed the border. He hired coyotes in English, which just means those are basically people that smuggle people across the border, right? So I put, yeah, he hired a coyote, he crossed the border. I did mention specifically, where did he cross? Kind of goes along with the video we saw last week. Where did he cross? Through the, it's all in that same paragraph. That same paragraph we were just talking about. He hired coyotes, fought off banditos, bribed policías.
In the desert?
Yeah, thanks, Helen. Yeah, he crossed through the desert, right? So it's literally exactly what we talked about in that video last week. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is actually in chapter 2, so we can't do that one yet. So that's our question. Now we're going to go to our quotes paper. And here's the part that's kind of up to you. All right, I usually tend to write down, there's no exact number, 1, 2, 3 quotes for each chapter. Some chapters are a little longer and have more quotes. Some chapters are shorter. So it's not like I'm going to check your paper to have the exact same quotes that I have. But what we're looking for here are quotes that represent these themes. All right. So I'm going to start off by showing you what I did in chapter 1. So I came up with, my first quote had to do with illegal immigration. So it would go on the first page. Okay. I would say probably just write down my quote because why not? I'm helping you out here. So I put chapter 1, page 2. And if you're looking at chapter 1, page 2, my quote says, he came here for opportunity. And then I put ... kind of just to like go from idea to idea. So I almost like combined 3 sentences here. I said, in Mexico, opportunity doesn't exist, ... And then I put impossible for them to support family. So if you look at where that came from in page 2, I'm kind of combining 3 sentences here. I could have done all 3 sentences. I could have done one of those sentences, but I thought they kind of just went together. So I put them, you can see, all under one like space. And that kind of represented some things about illegal immigration. Does anybody have a question on why I picked that quote or how I picked that quote or why it goes under illegal immigration?
I'm confused what you're talking about.
Okay, so you're writing down important quotes. It might have been because you came to class late, Caleb. So on my current lesson, there's, the pages of quotes and there's pages of questions, and you need to keep track of both of those as you read through this book. So that's what I suggest you put for your first quote for illegal immigration. So I was on page 2 for that quote, and I'm kind of towards the top of the page where it starts here, where it says he only came here for opportunity. And then I put, in Mexico, opportunity doesn't exist, ... It's almost impossible for them to make a living and support their family. So again, that kind of represents why people come here. But now I've got a quote to back up my thought. Okay, if anybody needs clarification, just raise your hand or put it in the chat. I'm kind of watching the chat as we talk. Okay, so I did one other quote for this chapter. You tell me where you think this would fit. Okay, illegal immigration, Hispanic women, Hispanic values, stereotypes, discrimination. Those are your choices. See what you think here. My quote is, all that to provide a better life for his children. It's in the middle of page 2. All that to provide a better life for his children. Anybody have a guess where that quote might fit? Is it a stereotype? Is it discrimination? Is it illegal immigration? Is it describing Hispanic women or Hispanic values?
Hispanic values.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, Hispanic values, right? So, yeah, so I turned to that. That's the third one on there. I wrote chapter 1, page 2. And literally I wrote all that to provide a better life for his children, right? Because that's telling you what someone would go to as a Hispanic value. It's all about the children, right? It's all about the family and providing a better life. Now, are there other things in here you could have used? Maybe. but those were the ones that kind of stood out to me. And that's all I had for this chapter. In chapter 2, I had 1, 2, 3, actually had 4 quotes. So, you know, it kind of just depends on how many you find and what you think stands out. All right, so let me see here. We've got 10, 15 minutes. So let me go back here and re-summarize, and then I'm happy to give you the last 15 minutes to read. You should probably be able to read chapter 2 in that time. So every day I'm going to try to give you a little bit of time to read for the next couple chapters. Okay, so listen. We've done chapter 1. We filled in these quotes as we went. Tarea is chapters 2 and 3, filling in the questions and quotes as you go. And that is due Thursday. So I'm giving you an extra day. Usually I give you the assignment, it's due the next day. But in this case, it's due on Thursday. Okay, here's where you can find it. I've also put the chapters under class resources, so you can also look there if you need to. And the other thing is then tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how we're going to do these little group presentations. And if you would really like to work with someone in this class for your group presentation, I will try my best to accommodate, since you don't usually get to work with / see your friends anymore. I thought that would be kind of fun. You just need to send me a message. Just send me an email or a message in Canvas today, because I'm going to organize these groups for tomorrow. And group presentations will not start till next week. So you'll have some time in class tomorrow and Thursday to get yourself prepared if you are doing a presentation sooner than later. Okay. Questions for the good of the group before I let anybody go?
Can you explain the quote thing again?
Yep, I'm gonna have you stay on at the end, Caleb, so I can let everybody else kind of move on. Anybody have any questions for the good of the group? You know what you're doing? Okay. So if I let you go, this is not like, oh, free time, because every day I'm going to let you go a little early, but you got to make sure you're reading and doing your quotes and doing your questions so you don't get behind. Okay. So if you're good to go, then go read chapter 2 and fill out your stuff, and I'll see you tomorrow.